Joining us now via Skype is the spokesperson, International Committee of the Red Cross, Nigeria Delegation, Abuja, Aliyu Dawobe. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Now, talk to us about the ICRC's efforts at assisting persons affected by conflict gain some sort of inclusion into society.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and sorry for not making it to Lagos. The Icrc mandate is mainly to assist people affected by armed conflict and violence. Most of the people that we assist in Maiduguri, in Damaturu, in Adamawa, in terms of conflict, we find a number of them also having some of these disabilities that have been caused specifically because of the conflict, either because they have had bullet wounds in the past, blast in the past, and then they have lost parts of their bodies. These people for us is the top priority, because already there is vulnerability, and in addition to the vulnerability, you have conflict again. Some of them have lost everything and they cannot afford to go to hospital. So these are some of the issues we look at to be able to support them. So our Kano Center for rehabilitation of these type of people receive on weekly basis a lot of people, a minimum of 5 people coming from the northeast of Nigeria to come and get supported with this type of artificial limbs. So far, over 600 people have benefited since 2006. So this is what we are doing to make people, instead of us to keep assisting people, we will have to look at ways to support these people to come back to their normal life, to regain their dignity in the community. So this is what we do to be able to put them. But then we also have other programs that are targeting them after giving them limbs, after giving them support, and they have gone back to life. Then what? So what we do also is to try to see that we have empowered them. So we also have a program of what we call microeconomic initiative of empowering these people to go back to their business. Some of them cannot actually go back to their original businesses. For example, a driver who had his 2 limbs, now he doesn't have the 2 limbs. He has artificial limbs. It's very difficult for him to drive. Last week I was in Kano, and it was really very pathetic to see this type of people needing help, and then there is virtually nobody to help them except a few organizations and individuals that are helping. So this type of people are really in need to be supported. After losing their limbs, like I mentioned, is for them, what next? Some of them are farmers. If they are farmers and they get back their limbs, this is something that they can still go back to their farming activities. But other specific activities and businesses, they may not be able to go back to their original activities. So what we do is to try to train them on other things that they feel they would be able to do. And this way, we can empower them with some assistance that arranging to cash to be able to go back to their business.
All right, spokesman for the International Committee of the Red Cross Nigeria Delegation, Aliyu Dawobe, thank you very much for talking to us on this. On Skype is the spokesperson, International Committee of the Red Cross Nigeria Delegation, Abuja, Aliyu Dawobe. Thank you very much for joining us now. From the reports now, we're made to understand that people living with disability have some form of intelligence that has been ignored over the years because of their physical status. Now, how will you rate the level of awareness as it regards people living with disability?
Thank you again for bringing me back. Sincerely speaking, it's very, very painful to see people that have already are able to walk now trying to see how they can walk in their life. This is something that is really very painful, and you can clearly see most of them are really eager to continue to explore their talent in terms of either going to school. You could see Kabir Ibrahim, a young boy of 10 who was amputated because of sickness, still has has the ambition to become a doctor. So these are some of the talents I think we could explore a lot in people living with disabilities. And unless we are able to understand that they are still relevant in the society, that they still have their dignity in the communities, that we would be able to know that yes, they have a talent to tap.
Now, talk to us about the challenges that the ICRC has faced in trying to help persons with disabilities, especially those in the conflict areas.
Yeah, a lot of challenges are actually being faced, but we are working on that to see that we continue to support them. The challenges that have to do with some of them, the communities are really not willing to allow them to continue learning. The communities are sometimes communities that feel that once you don't have a leg, once you don't have, or your legs are amputated, is like you are no more. They rather would see you do a business rather than actually going back to your original business. So this is one of the main challenges. Sometimes the people are also not feeling that they can really go back to their original life. They can really go back to their activities that they are used to before. So this is again another challenge, but we've been able to manage to try to see that people have understand that they can really go back to their dignity, they can be respected in the communities, they can continue with their aspirations in life.
All right, so for the federal government now, what should be done to ensure that people living with disability have access to facilities, regular facilities that we all have access to?
Yeah, for us, it's a good collaboration between us and the government authorities. You could clearly see DALA is a government institution, but then we are collaborating very well to see that we have assisted these people, especially people affected by conflict, who their vulnerability is much more than people who have not been affected with conflict. So there is a good collaboration between the International Committee of the Red Cross and the government authorities in this regard. We continue to, also in Maiduguri, where most of these victims are taken to hospitals for surgeries. We also have a very good collaboration with the state ministries, because we have a specific ward that we call the medical surgical ward in Maiduguri, where most of these victims are brought in, and we try to support them in free medication until they recover and they are okay.
Adeoye, thank you for your time on the